everyone, Stacy with Positive Chaos. I want to show you this really neat pendant. I love making my own jewelry findings and my own pendants, if at all possible. I try to do that. So I kind of was just playing with shapes and I thought this was pretty cute. You could hang it on off a cord or a chain, or even if you want to make this area maybe shorter, you can do that and maybe put three beads on here. Maybe if you make it smaller, you can make an earring out of it. Whatever you want to do. You could use colored wire, different colored wire to wrap, different colored wire as your foundation. But I thought it was pretty cute. And this is just one technique you can use. And then you can make all kinds of different shapes and sizes. So I'm going to put that aside. What you're going to need is a couple beads, or however many, where'd my other bead go? Couple beads, or however many beads you want to use. You can use any kind of bead you want. But the sizes of beads will determine how long you make your, this does move a little bit, how long you make your wire, your pendant, and the size of the beads. All right, so again, a couple of beads, and then I'm using a thingamajig. I'm using the two large ones, and then one of the mediums. And if you visit my blog, it's Positive Chaos, but the address is stacyholman.com. I'll have pictures and everything on that website, so you know what comes with it. And then this is 18 gauge wire. You need a nice thick wire to hold its shape. If you want, you can use 16 gauge, 14 gauge. Just remember, the thicker the gauge, the harder it is to maneuver the wire. But the wire will at least keep its shape very nicely over a long period of time. And then I have 26 gauge wire here. This is for the wrapping, and I did cut a couple lengths. Again, that will determine the bead size and how many beads you're gonna display. So again, I have a couple different lengths because I cut a length long enough to wrap the bead, but to also wrap my center and my bail. So I have one length that's 6 inches, and then another length that's 4 inches, and that'll be for the second bead. So I'm so sorry if my hands get in the way. I'm in a small space here. I'll move my thingamajig here. So I know my hands are going to get in the way, and I'm sorry. So what I'm going to do is find my center. It's right up in this area. And I'm just going to start shaping it. And then kind of bring these in a little bit. Because what I want to do is get it in here. It's finicky in the beginning. It is. I'm gonna admit that, but guess what? You're making your own jewelry, which is awesome. I'm an advocate when it comes to DIY, but especially making your own jewelry. right. And I'm gonna hold down all my pieces here. Right. So I'm just gonna move this around like this. Okay, just make sure you're holding everything down and you get it all on there. And then just moving them out. I'm shaping it all on my thingamajig, okay? I'm not gonna lie, that it takes some, it's very finicky when you're first starting out. All right, and okay, I'm gonna move this off to the side so we can focus on this here. All right, so you wanna make sure that the holes of your beads are out to the side, because that's where you're gonna do your wrapping, okay? And at the moment, you can see that it doesn't fit in there, but that's okay, it's wire, we can move that. So I'm gonna take my longer piece of wire, let me grab it. All right, and I'm gonna insert the wire. Where's the hole? The light is reflecting off the bead. And then find the center again. But I don't want to seat it. I don't want to bend the wire around it. I just want to find out where the center is. All right, so I have the bead in the center of my longer wire. So I'm going to put one of the sides through here because I want my bead to sit nicely. So I have one wire coming out the bottom. I have the other wire coming out the top. All right. And then I'm just going to make a little bit of space on the sides so I can start wrapping. And the wire that's coming out the bottom, I'm gonna bring up to the top and wrap it that way. It's okay if your bead isn't right in the center of the wire. As long as you have enough wire on the sides to wrap. Okay, and I don't have my pliers. All right, I'll be right back. I have to go grab my pliers. I'm gonna pause. All right, so I have my chain nose pliers and my flat nose pliers. You can use either one because they're really just going to assist you in pulling the wire through. I'm gonna use my chain nose pliers just because. All right, so. Okay. So now I'm just going to hold the 18 gauge wire and the bead, and I'm just going to pull. And you see how that wire tightens up. I would have had a really hard time with my fingers. So, and then I'm going to wrap it again. All right, this is number 2. Pull it through. All right. And then before I get to number 3, I'm just going to bring it up, because what I want to do is tuck in the end that I cut. I want to tuck it between the wire and the bead, because wearing it, I don't want it to snag on anything. So I do have my cutters, my flush cutters, and where I'm going to cut is going to be right on the top. I'm going to leave a little bit of wire so I can tuck it in. All right. All right, so there it is sticking up. Okay. I'm just going to tuck it in. All right, I think a little bit more has to come off. Which is fine. I'll just cut off a little more. All right, and then tuck it in. All right, and then just touch and feel that you don't feel it, and I don't. All right, so now go to the other side. All right, so this one's coming out the bottom. So it's gonna, only because I flipped it over. So I'm gonna bring it to the top. I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm sorry, it's easier when it's closer to your face. I'm looking through a camera. It's a little bit more difficult. And you want to be careful with how much you work your wire, because right now I'm work hardening it, which means that the more I mess with it, the more brittle it becomes. And then it will break. So just go through tight spaces like this is less than possible, which is why I only do 3 wraps. You could do more, but there's a lot of bending of the wire. All right. And just tuck that in. And then make sure your coils are close together, okay? Make sure you don't feel it, which I don't. Perfect. All right, so as I said before, when I first set the bead in there, it was too small, right? So naturally, the wire spreads apart so the bead can fit. Now, I'm just going to squeeze this together and then use the wire that broke off, and I'm just going to twist it on there. Just wire wrap it. Make sure that both sides of your wire are sitting next to each other and they're not overlapping. But your wires want to be touching to get a tight coil around them. This part, anytime you work with wire, the beginning is always finicky. Okay, let's see if I can get this tighter with my chain nose pliers. All right. Okay. Very good. And then just keep wrapping, keeping your coils right next to each other. You know, you could also do a messy wrap. just make sure you tuck the ends of your wires in so it's not snagging or scratching you. You know, whatever you want to do. This is your jewelry piece. You can do whatever you want because it's your style. You know, your favorite colors, your favorite bead, whatever you want to do. Just go for it. Okay, this isn't the best wire wrapping, but you'll want it to be really tight, and the wires need to be right next to each other. Okay, and then cutting your wire, it's going to flip it over. Bring the wire over the 18 gauge wire. I'm sorry. I have anxiety disorder, so things have to be in line. So what I'm going to do is cut my wire so the cut end, focus, is going to lay right in between these two wires because I want to tuck in that end. I have to make sure I'm not cutting anything else that I shouldn't be. Okay, there we go. And then this end, I'm just going to tuck in. All right, and then run your fingers. I can feel a little bit. I don't want to feel anything. Okay, just kind of, when your pliers are on the wire, just kind of roll it, okay? But just roll the end in between. Excellent, okay. I can't feel anything. So now, same thing. Same thing with this one. Cut pretty close to the wire. All right, I'm going to turn it around so I can get a better grip. All right. I need a better grip. All right, there we go. All right, and I'm just going to squeeze the end in between. Perfect. All right. Now, for this part, I'm going to bring it back, and same thing. Same thing. I'm just going to round it with my fingers. All right. I want to spread it a little bit more. All right, round it out. Let's see. And then I'm just going to pull just a little so I can get this part here as close to I can to this peg. Oops. All right. And holding firmly on that wire on that peg. Oops. And if it helps to do one side at a time like I'm doing, go for it. Go for it. Pull it around. Just make sure that the pendant itself is pretty straight. Okay. Using my thumb to keep that wire on the medium peg, I'm going to curve the wire. Okay, so it should look like that. And now, pulling the pegs down because you don't want them to go flying, we have our second one. And there's also smaller pegs as well that you can use if you want this part to be shorter. if you want to use smaller beads, you know, to put in here. So I'm going to use my shorter length wire. And because you saw how much wire we used to wrap, it's not that much wrapping for the beads. Again, just enough to get 3 wraps. And then I have this piece of wire here that I can use to coil that one. So I'm going to do the same thing as I did before. Put one wire going to the top, the other one going to the bottom, because I want my bead, I want my bead to sit nicely. Oops, and my wire came out. So I'm going to grab that, put the wire back in, and do the same thing. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'll be back. Okay, back. So you see how the wire is curved a little bit? That's just from maneuvering it on the thingamajig. No big deal. Just straighten it up. Straighten it up with your fingers. Okay. There. All right, so I got this one. So now what I'm going to do is just, if it's a little off, that's fine. Okay. See how you like it. This one needs to come over a little bit more. Just move it over. No big deal. Okay. So now I'm going to use another piece of wire. Oh. See how the wire's not matching up? No big deal. Just manipulate it with your fingers. Wire can be manipulated. All right, so here's another piece of wire. This is all extra wire that I used to wrap the beads in. All right. And what did I do? I think I did about 5 wraps. You can do however many wraps you want. Just remember to cut your wire and tuck it in somewhere. Again, you don't want it scratching you or snagging on anything. Okay, I'm just going to do, one more wrap. Okay. Now again, I'm going to cut my wire. I just want to see where the end will land, which is why I want it. I want the wire to lay over so I can cut it at just the right spot. Just tuck it in. Nope, I still feel it. All right, it takes some time, especially looking through a camera. Okay, good. And this one, come over so I can see where that one's gonna land. And make sure when you cut your wire, you're holding the end so it doesn't go flying. I'm in a confined space here where my wire isn't going to go everywhere. But you definitely don't want it to fly in your eye or it could fly and hit your dog's eye or cat's eye. My husband and I have both. We have 3 cats, 1 small dog. All right, and then tuck that end in. Sure. Oh, no, I can feel it. Okay. And then this part here. Now see, I have enough wire to do another one if I wanted. Which I just might do another one. But, well, no, because I don't have another bead. So to finish it off, just gonna bring these up, just straighten them up, holding the center here. Just bring them up because you want them to straighten out. So anyway, if you want to do another one, you have enough wire to do so. I forgot that I'm using smaller beads than I did in the other one. All right, so you want to leave about, it depends on how big you want to make your bail. I do have bail pliers that I'll also post in my blog. I'll post all the instructions and materials and tools you'll need to do this, along with different ideas and links to where you can get your materials. Again, the blog name is Positive Chaos, and the address is stacyholman.com. So I'm just going to give myself about that much. I'm not good at estimating measurements, but I can pretty much gauge what I'm going to need. Now you could use bail pliers, or you can use round nose pliers. I don't have those with me, so I'm going to compromise for video's sake. And I'm just going to use my chain nose pliers. So I'm just going to bring this down, grab the tip and bring it down and around until it touches. And again, there's so many shapes you can do with this. Same thing with the other side. Whoops. Just bring it down. Whoops. Bring it down, around. Whoops. Pull tightly onto the wire. Again, it's easier with bail pliers or round nose pliers. All right, so you want to bring it all the way down. All right, I'm just gonna compromise here and fold it down like so. Okay, so I like to spread them apart just slightly, just so they have the V shape there. So, all right, and then I'm gonna work on this side a little bit more to bring it down. But again, depending on the cording, you'll want this to be larger than it is. This is the smallest I would go, and this would be a good size for a chain. But if you want a thicker cord, then of course, make a bigger loop. So leave more wire on the end, and then just make a bigger loop. So there's our our little pendant. And again, you can use whatever color wire you want. You can use a different gauge wire. Just remember, the thicker the gauge, meaning the lower the number, thicker the gauge, it becomes a little harder to manipulate. So this is 18 gauge, and this seems to work perfectly for me, for my hands. Use whatever kind of beads you want, whatever color beads. Just have fun with it. And if you want the wrappings to be a different color than your foundation, I guess you could say, then go for it. Go for it. Again, this is your style. This is your colors. Whatever you want. That's the neat part about making your own jewelry, making your own pendants. So again, all these instructions will be on my blog, Positive Chaos, along with materials you need and tools you need and links where you can get all of them. All right, again, this is Stacy, Positive Chaos, and my blog is, the blog address is stacyholman.com. If you have any questions or comments, you can leave those in the comment section on my blog, or you can email me at positivechaos@gmail.com.